Hi, this is Miho from Canada. How you guys doing? I hope mentally and physically you guys are fit. Today I'm gonna talk about the perception, and that leads to the belief, the limiting belief. I love to use the analogy of the cup. For instance, okay, this is the cup to drink coffee or tea, right? No matter where you look at it, this is a cup. Perception, meaning, okay, from your side, you see this letter and you believe this cup has a letter that I got this, and that's what it is. That's what you think, right? And then when you talk to people, and some people say, well, what you guys talking about? That's not true. Like, where do you see I got this? This is the cup and it's all white. There is no letters involved. And that's what they believe. That's what their belief is. So it depends where you're looking at. Even though this is a cup, you see it on the side, you don't see any letters. You see from the top, don't see any letters. You see on the other side, okay, you see these letters. So this belief is something that probably people told you this is the way it is. Or maybe you went through a certain experience in the past that you felt a certain way and you believed to yourself, okay, this is it, this is the way it is. But when you stop and think about, there are a different size of, for instance, this is the cup, right? So when you encounter something, say upsetting to you, people like attack you or yell at you, for instance, originally maybe you react to it because you don't like that feeling. Nobody likes that feeling, right? But when you know the perception concept, you might start thinking like, oh, maybe there are different sides of this. He's so afraid or scared of something or a situation that he doesn't want to admit it. So instead, he attacks people just to make him feel secure, right? So insecurity of himself turns out to be attacking people just to protect himself because he doesn't want to show the weakness side of it, because he believed that showing the weakness is a bad thing. Or maybe he had a really, really bad day in a family. They had big arguments and really agitated already. And then if he encounters something that triggers that feeling, and then you happen to be there, and then you got yelled at. Or he just didn't feel like being talked to, or he's so focused on something and he was just annoyed or something like that. Anyway, the point is that there are so many different ways of looking at one event or subject. So when you understand that there are so many different ways, it saves you from getting reactive, getting upset unnecessarily. So you could stay in a very calm state much longer, which I think it's important to be very comfortable with yourself and without feeling like ups and down unnecessarily. And that's one of the things that the belief that you have. For instance, that if you think that learning the language, for instance, and you've studied, you've maybe tried to speak it, but for instance, no one understood what you said, and you get really offended, disappointed, and ashamed whatever the feel that you had in the past, for instance, and that really categorize you as, say, failure, and that's what you believed, and you thought, okay, I can't do this. I'm really bad at language. I'm not made for this. And that's what you believe, and you carry that with you. And there is another person who study and try to speak the language, but no one understood you. Then you thought to yourself, okay, what is needed to improve? Like my pronunciations or my intonations or my grammar, or maybe the person who listening didn't hear me correctly, or what could I do to improve, right? So some people are that way, to really enjoy the learning process, even though you might feel that, okay, this is frustrating, but they think language as a tool to convey the ideas. So for instance, the kids, they don't know the grammar, they just imitate, and they're so great at it because they have no shame making mistakes. They don't even have the concept of making mistakes. They just imitate, and if that works, they're really happy, and they really observe the situations, and they just learn by hearing and or observing and watching what's happening. As we get older, we are taught to be perfect in a grammar, be perfect to be speaking techniques, and there's so many rules that we think about before you even speak up, so that you hesitate, you get really intimidated. So those things are coming from the belief that you developed over the years. Maybe somebody told you that, oh, you're not good at it, you're just not made for this, or whatever they might told you. They might have told you, but that's also their conception, their perception of things. And when you think about, for instance, the language is a medium to convey the ideas, maybe the perfect pronunciation or perfect grammar might not be the top priorities. You just need to put it out, all the words that you know, and the people who listen will gather and then try to understand you. And so having a different perspective of any subject or a thing really saves you from getting unnecessarily upset, or make a belief that this is it, because there's so many different sides to one thing. Even just in a cup, you might look at this side, you see one thing. You might look at from the top, you might just do see things like this on top or the sides. There's all sorts of different perception, ideas, and concept. So you need to open up your ideas and adapt that there are so many different sides to one thing. So you wouldn't get unnecessarily upset, and you really go deeper to see what other people might be looking at. So it becomes as a big picture that to see what it is all about, really. And so you don't really need to really focusing on one little thing and start arguing, right? Because there's so many different sides to one subject or one thing. So I hope this helps to shift your mind, the perception, and the beliefs that you may have. Okay, so open up your mind really helps you to live the comfortable, really calm spot in your heart. So see you soon and talk to you soon.